Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out probatemastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit probatemastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content. All right, guys, welcome. This is the Estate Professional Mastermind weekly coaching call and podcast. If you're listening after the fact, you're probably on the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, or you're on our YouTube channel, which is Probate Mastery. And we do this every single week on Tuesday, 2 o'clock Eastern time. So if you'd like to join in the future and you're not here live right now, please come back and join. If you're here, this call is for you guys. We like to take your questions. We're here to talk about kind of the probate niche, and building a real estate business for you as an investor or you as a real estate agent in that probate space. So if you are here and you're either in the Probate Mastery certification course, you've taken it in the past, or you've never taken it, we want to hear any questions that you have. So to ask questions and engage with us, you're going to go down to the bottom of your Zoom window and hover over the bottom and click that little react button. When you do that, it should give you the opportunity to raise your hand. That's what I'm looking for. So if you have a win, a success story, an experience that you've gone through, or something that you're in the middle of, maybe you have questions about a transaction that you're in the middle of, or marketing or prospecting that you're doing, ask those questions. So I am looking for hands to go up. I love being able to see faces if I can see your face, and if you're in the place to turn your camera on, would love to be able to see you guys. If not, no big deal if you're not camera ready. David, I saw you waving your hand, and I wasn't sure if you were waving at someone leaving or if you were waving at me, but now your Zoom hand is up. So let's go ahead and cut over to David's comment or question before we go any further.
I'm just being silly. I put in there how to prospect probates, but no,
yeah, you want to know how to prospect probate because you're no good at it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, so a win of the week for everybody to know. Does when someone asks about probate, do they, maybe you could talk on this a little bit, Bruce, but when you're qualifying someone in probate, I always wonder where they are in the process. And it's not really asking where are you at in the probate process. It's wondering, like this guy that just called, he said he's given up. I could tell from my sheet that it's been almost 2 years that he's never responded to any kind of maybe text message, email, phone call, or letter. But he did just call in frustrated that he has to pay another $3,000 to his attorney. So, I just leaned into that and asked him, what is going on? Why is it this way? He said, because my sister recently passed away. Now her share goes to her 4 kids. So you got one lady that passed away. She had the house. They have a brother, sister. Now the sister died. That was the third arm to it. So 2 sisters, 1, 2. You have brother. One brother doesn't want to deal with it. One brother has to deal with it, an executor. So now the kids want money out of the property and they don't want to pay anything towards their estate. So the attorney is issuing a refund of the time, but there's nothing else in the probate to handle. So there's no debt collection, no bank accounts, it's only the real estate. So for me to get that phone call, it's like once you establish your credibility with that type of probate lead, now I could call that attorney and say, hey, look, is there anything that I could do to help out? They'll say no because they want to be the referee. But for the guy, he already gave me authorization to go change the locks on the house because it's vacant and then send him a key. And then now I'm going to deal with that big issue of selling this house with multiple heirs, which is very simple to do. It's just a matter of doing the affidavit of heirship. I just want to say that's a big win of the week. It's a good deal. So hopefully in about 4 months, we'll have a deal signed or closed.
Well, so the original estate in your example, the original estate was a parent, and he was one of three kids that was
Correct.
inheriting a parent's estate, and now one of the three of them has also died. Is that correct?
No, the parents have died. It's just siblings.
Yeah.
So it went crossways. I say
Okay.
it goes in probate, it goes up, down if you have kids. The guy has no kids, or she had no kids, so it goes sideways until you
Got it.
find heirs, which is the siblings, and then children.
Yeah.
And then it goes back down.
Okay.
That's a basic understanding of how it works in Texas. Probably
Assuming that
everywhere.
there was no will, assuming that there was no will, that's how
Correct.
it works. If there is a will, it can go any which way. It can go up, sideways, it can go out of the
Yes.
family, it can go to whoever the will directs.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's a really good example of the relationships that we're building. And one
I'm
of
drinking
my
water, by the way.
favorite phone calls that I could possibly receive is, "Hey, I've just given up." Why does someone give up? Um, and why should we be there to help the people give up that give up? And why should we not be afraid of the people that are giving up? Number one is so often people procrastinate. So this has been an estate that's been going on, a probate process going on for 2 years. I've given up. What does that probably mean? Um, to me, that means that the executor, the guy that you talk to, has most likely been procrastinating on a lot of things over the last 2 years, procrastinating with the thought and the hope that one day he'd get around to the process. And it probably took 2 years of cutting the grass and getting questions and getting pestered by the family members, pestered by the sister's kids, um, pestered by the IRS. It probably took 2 years of people annoying him and nagging him without him doing a whole lot other than just maintenance on a house before he went, you know what? I haven't done anything for 2 years. I don't want to deal with this. I want to be out of it.
Hmm.
David, help. Is that a fair estimate of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, in our business, in real estate, it's probably the best situation because they're not relying on a neighbor, a friend, a realtor, somebody that says they're going to buy the house. They're just done with the process. So if you could solve the big issue, you have a either a listing or you could buy a house for an investment. So it works out
Mhm.
perfect.
Yep. So, in a case like this, what do you think the likelihood is that this guy was getting prospected 2 years after he applied for probate?
Probably none at all.
None, except for from you,
Yeah. And he's
right?
been on my list. Let's see. Oh, I already moved him over, so I lost that. But I've sent him probably 11 letters, no response.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Okay.
and I just
11
text
letters,
him.
and he
uh,
came back. So that conversion cost you, for him individually, cost you what, 11 bucks? For him as
Probably,
an
yeah.
individual. Now, obviously, you're doing 11 letters to the other people that aren't responding. So let's say it's one out of every 200 that finally do respond after 11 letters. So that conversion may have cost you $2,200,
Yeah.
but you got a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you think you're going to buy it or list it?
It looks distressed. So, if there's nobody moved into it, most likely do affidavits and close it in probably 4 or 5 weeks.
Hmm. Awesome. Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So hang out, David. I'm going to go to the other David, David Cordero. I don't know if he has questions or a deal of his own that he's cooking up. What do you got, David?
So I'm just kind of piggybacking off the conversation here. So I think it's a little bit of both. It's kind of like a win, and then it also piggybacks off your conversation. I had a similar situation with a probate house that personally I didn't think much of, and they were going through probate for 3 years, and they called me and they said that very same thing. We've given up. We don't think that we're going to be able to finish this. Our attorney's taking forever. He's not returning our calls, on and on and on. And to be honest, um, Yeah, I didn't know what to think. So I tried to contact the attorney and I couldn't get a hold of him either. I called him incessantly, went to his office. He was just missing in action. So I thought, oh my gosh, there's a reason they gave up. I mean, this is impossible.
Hmm.
And eventually, I ended up getting a hold of the attorney. And I actually, this is a win. I used your advice when we talked about that on why they wouldn't return our calls. And of course, we talked about all the different things, reasons. But you said if they're a single attorney that's not a part of a corporation, they're probably bogged down and overwhelmed. Give them the benefit of the doubt, pretend to be their friend or their helper. And so
Hmm.
I used that approach. And so, long story short, um, I ended up purchasing the property from them, and we closed, and we ended up finishing the probate, and it wasn't easy whatsoever. It was tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we ended up getting it closed. And one of the reasons I purchased it was there was a squatter inside the house, and they actually had someone from the family that wanted to buy it from them, but they backed out because there were squatters in the house.
Okay.
People just couldn't figure that out. So just recently, all within a few weeks, I ended up purchasing the house, and then the squatters are gone already in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it turned out to be a good thing, but really they were at the end of their rope. Um, and then I get it now from the other side because I couldn't get a hold of the attorney, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if this will ever close. I don't know if I can close this, but we ended up closing it. So
And do you have a pretty decent relationship with the attorney? Are you guys communicating now, or is he still pretty hard to? You're
yeah,
closed, so it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter at this point. But did you open the lines?
Absolutely. I opened the lines. I gave gifts. I dropped off cigars,
Hmm.
which was a huge help. It was a random thing. I had a box of cigars that were given to me from a client, and then I gave it to him, and he loved. They were Cuban cigars, and this guy was a cigar connoisseur,
Hmm.
and that just totally changed everything. And as soon as I gave him the box of cigars, boom, communication lines opened. We we closed the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Gifts work. Now, with attorneys, you've got to be a little careful because it's more on their side. There's not really a lot of risk for us, but they've definitely got that quid pro quo. There can't be a perceived exchange of value when things like that happen. So this isn't because you gave me a client. Um, this isn't payment for a client, that kind of thing. Now, some attorneys absolutely cross that line willingly. Other attorneys are a little bit cautious, but I'm a huge believer in gifting things like that, taking them to concerts, taking them to games, dinners, work that relationship. Um, Great job, man. Great job. Um, so before I go to the next question, both Davids, you guys hang out. Feel free to ask any other questions, share any other experiences, give your 2 cents as we go forward. But it kind of leads me real quick to the ideal avatar of our client. So if I were to ask um, David Pannell, what's the avatar of your prospect going through probate, what would you say? Your most likely client that's going through probate. What's their avatar?
It's usually the PRs out of the area for me, if
Hmm.
that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Yep, it is. Okay, out of area PRs. I'm gonna expand on that in a minute. Cordero, you have any thoughts on that?
Uh, no, that makes sense practically. For me, it's anyone that wants to sell.
That wants to
Yeah, me too.
sell. I love it. So, I'm gonna describe the typical avatar, and I'm not saying this is the ideal, but it's the typical. A lot of us are going for just low-hanging fruit. It's you just applied for probate. There's a house in the estate. Let me call you. Hey, do you want to sell the house? No. Okay, that's not my client. That's the typical scenario that a lot of people are expecting when they go into probate. That's not where you're going to get your business, folks. You are going to get your business with the procrastinators and the people that are stuck and the people that are on the verge of giving up. And that doesn't happen in the first 2 months. Now, is it nice? And do we get business in the first 2 months from people that are like, hey, put this house, I got to get this house sold right now. Just applied for probate. We're ready to go. Yeah, absolutely. That happens from time to time. Our typical client, if we're willing to offer value and pursue them and market to them and build relationships, the typical person is going to take 6, 8, 12 months, 24 months, like Pannell just shared. They're going to be in this place where they've given up, they've procrastinated, they're stuck, and they're just ready to let someone step in and take it over. And that happens to be with both of the stories that we just got from both Davids, that happens to be where the best purchase opportunities lie as well. And I know most of you guys on here are real estate agents. I'm a real estate broker agent first. That's the majority of my business, but I like to buy houses too. I like to buy houses. And when someone is stuck and they've got a distressed asset that no one's lived in and they're cutting the grass every week and they're fixing leaking pipes and different things like that and they're just bogged down, there's some really good opportunities there. Um, and just so we don't leave Joe sitting there with his hand up and a tired hand forever, I'm going to go to Joe real quick. Joe, what do you have?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, whatever you call this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm new to the probate arena. I'm a realtor, been a realtor for over 20 years, but this year I started working with probate. So I'm on my second one now, and the challenge I have is three of them. There's an older brother, he's the administrator, and then there's two siblings, a man and a woman. And so he's dragging his feet on the probate. He just don't want it to really happen. So I've sat down with him and now he seems to be working. He gave the probate not to an attorney, but to a third party to
Okay.
handle everything. So I forget the exact name of that third party. And they was going to take care of all the probate.
Yep.
So the question is, can I go in there and kind of, get a listing signed, start the process, and sell the house without dealing with probate? Or because I think this third party is handling that, and I
Hmm.
haven't got all that information yet. But I'm just trying to see if I can, kind of railroad it and just go straight in and sell the house. Uh,
Yep.
is that possible?
Probably. What state are you in?
California.
California.
Yes.
So the third party is probably a fiduciary.
Mm-hmm.
So California, if you're going through probate, you're either going to go through as the and handle everything as the executor, so the
Mm-hmm.
family member that's responsible for everything,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to turn those responsibilities over to an attorney, or turn those responsibilities over to a fiduciary.
Okay.
That's California. That's comparable in a lot of other states, but specifically in California, those are the three different parties that might be directly managing the
Okay.
probate process. So
Mm-hmm.
California also has something called limited authority and full authority. So
Mm-hmm.
limited authority and full authority. Why anyone in their right mind would ever apply in California for limited authority beats me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it does happen, and it does happen a lot when an attorney or a fiduciary are handling the probate process.
Okay.
So, if it's limited authority, what that means is you're going to be subject to court approval at most steps of the way.
Okay.
I don't think that you need court approval to list the property. You
Mm-hmm.
definitely need court approval to accept an offer on the property. And
Mm-hmm.
that if it's limited authority. So that's the first thing that you need to figure out is what kind of authority do they have? Do they have full
Okay.
authority or do they have limited authority?
Okay.
They probably have limited. If they
Hmm.
have full, they can make their decisions without asking the court.
Okay.
They're the family, they're the future owners. Why would they need to ask the court? I don't
Hmm.
know, except for the fact that they set it up with limited authority. So,
Hmm.
limited authority means that there's going to be most likely what's called a referee involved.
Hmm.
And a referee is essentially an appraiser. Sometimes they're a real appraiser and they're just refereeing for the court on the side. Sometimes they're just a referee.
Okay.
Referees kind of like a county assessor
Hmm.
in a lot of cases. And if they just do county evaluation work or
Hmm.
just do, in this case, court evaluation work, they may or may not be accurate on their pricing, but they're going to determine the value of the different assets that need to be sold. And you've got a list at the value or close to the value that the referee sets.
Okay.
Remember, this is if it's limited authority. If
Right.
it's full authority, nobody really cares. It's the
Hmm.
family's prerogative. Any anyway, as long as the family has their letters of letters testamentary, or letters of authority, the court approval to move through probate, which they probably do if they were on your probate lead list, they probably already have approval. But
Hmm.
assuming that they have that, that's going to tell you what you got. It's going to tell you whether it's full authority or limited authority.
Okay.
It's going to tell you who has to be involved. Do we have to have a referee? Does the approval process on final sales price have to come back to the court or not? So that's
Okay.
what you want to see right off the bat is do you have your letters of authority or and if they don't know what that is, just say, do you have your court approval? And say the court will have issued a letter that essentially just approves you to go through the probate process.
Hmm.
I pretty much guarantee at this point, especially if there's a referee involved, a fiduciary involved,
Hmm.
they probably already have this authority. You need to see a copy of it.
Okay.
If the guy that you're dealing with doesn't have a copy of it, ask him to introduce you to the referee so that
Hmm.
you can best advise on the direction they should take. And then the referee should give you the letters testamentary, letters of authority. Anyone in California here can anyone in California here tell me what it's called in California? Is it letters of authority, letters of administration, letters testamentary? What do you guys call it in
Letters of
California?
authority.
Letters of
Yep.
authority.
Yes,
Okay.
and
Okay.
a lot of times people will do not a full authority or limited because they can't produce a bond, and the bond is off your credit worthiness, and that's
Hmm.
expensive.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a $2-3 million property, a bond is pretty pricey.
Hmm. Okay.
Very, very true. I'm glad you brought that up, Greg, because I did not even think of that when I was giving that answer. So, speaking of which, we all need a bond insurance provider in our vendor network. That's a quick little side note. Go get a probate bond insurance provider in your network.
Okay.
There's a couple of big national companies. If you Google it, you'll see some ads for like jet insurance that just does a lot of bonds. But it's nice to have that person. If you guys are looking for a potential unique selling proposition, something to separate you, maybe you offer to cover their bond insurance cost if you get a listing agreement or a purchase agreement. That's something that you could possibly do if it's something that the family can't quite take down on their own. But Greg, thank you so much. That's great,
Thank
great
you.
comment. So, Joe, most likely you can run with a listing. Now, Greg or anyone else in California, did I miss anything? You guys are in California. I'm not. I'm 2,500 miles across the country.
Mhm.
Does anyone in
You're pretty
California have
good.
a
You're
different?
almost get yourself in trouble. You're pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, right. All right, awesome, cool. What else do you guys have? Any other questions? We've run into Lakisha. Let's go to Lakisha.
Hey, how are you?
Really good. How's it going?
It's going well. I am in North Carolina.
Yep.
I am in the probate mastery course that I'm going through. I have 3 probate listings, all from the same special proceedings.
Hmm.
And I'm to the point where we have upset bids that we have accepted. And now I'm kind of stuck at what happens after that. Like, these are not something I'm going to use a 2T with. Again, I'm in North Carolina, so we use the 2T. Those are pretty extensive, and we don't need that for this kind of sale. So should I have attorneys, if I'm going to do this long term, drafting purchase agreements for me? I'm stuck at what's the next step?
I've always used, and just for those that aren't in North Carolina, 2T is just a specific form, a specific contract that North Carolina uses. So I have used the 2T even
Really?
during the upset bid period. So yes, there's a 2T and then there's an addendum that goes with it that essentially says, hey, you're not locked in because this has to go through an upset bid process through an addendum.
I
Um,
used that. So I did use that for the upset bid process for the original offer. Every offer
Mhm.
after that, they obviously are going directly to the clerk and not coming
Correct.
to us.
Okay.
So this is an upset bidder who won. We went through
Hmm.
the period. They won. They came in, and now it's time for us to close the deal. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought the 2T is too much because it has a due diligence period and all these other things that don't apply. These people are
Hmm.
now obligated to move forward with this sale. So you
Yep.
just saying you take that and kind of work with it. You don't get anything special.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the 2T, and then obviously there's not gonna be there shouldn't be a due diligence period, so I'm just gonna zero out the due diligence money and the due diligence time frame. That's one of the problems with the North Carolina upset bid period is they don't take into account that maybe the original offer had a due diligence period on it or due diligence money, but I still run it on a 2T. Now,
Okay, well, it's good to know.
yeah. If you there's not a lot of attorneys in North Carolina that run real estate closing practices that will custom draft contract paperwork for you. You almost have to go to an independent for person who doesn't do a ton of real estate but does a little bit, and they're usually willing to draft contracts. I've seen some of those and I don't like them, so I prefer the attorneys that only do real estate closings, and they're hard to work with to get a whole new contract drafted from scratch.
Okay.
So that's why I would use a 2T, and then I would have an attorney draft an addendum if I needed to. And the
Okay, good.
addendum can say something like the addendum is going to control if there's a difference between the contract and the addendum controls. So I'll have any changes specifically on the addendum, and I'll make sure that the addendum controls if there's any discrepancies between the two.
Okay, well, that's like I said, that's good to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, great. And good job getting three under contract and 3 through the upset bid process. That's phenomenal. Were these 3, were they what caused them to need to go through an upset bid process? Because not all contracts, not all offers in North Carolina and probate have to go through upset bids.
I know that from what I understand, the deceased had debts. The debt needs to pay. There was a challenge to the will, so that's how
Hmm.
it ended up with the public administrator.
Yeah.
The public administrator then reached out to me and said, I'm going to do a private sale. Can you help with this?" And I said yes, without knowing everything I was going to have to do. And then I was reading documents. Like I said, I got to the actual bit. And I'm like, wait a minute, the 2T is so extensive. Like, what is out? What is other people using? Because this, a lot of what's in here does not apply to this sale. So I'm glad to know you just jerry rig it.
Hey, I'm gonna see. I don't see Matthew on here, but Matthew just sent a chat in. He's in the triangle area.
I'm
Matthew,
here.
are you
My
able to come off
camera's
mute?
broke.
There you go. Hey, do you have anything to add to this? Because I admittedly probably don't do as many transactions these days as you do.
I can tell you that it's all based on the clerk of court here. The upset bid process is going to be definite as far as that's concerned if it has a Medicare lien or any other lien against the property.
Hmm.
And you really do have to watch the due diligence period because the court will reject it right out of the bat, right off the bat. That's why most of the stuff that I do goes to auction.
Hmm.
Um, and because at auction there's no due diligence period. They have 15 days or so to figure out, what's wrong with the property and whatnot and put it and submit a bid. Now, the then 10-day process in itself can be messy. Because during that period of time, you might have 3, 4, 5, 6, but every single time there's an offer, it resets that 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be at the end of day number 9, somebody submits another offer, 10 days starts all over again.
Yep.
So it gets really, sometimes it can get absolutely confusing. I have my own contracts. I actually know a fellow scoutmaster in a neighboring town, so I baked a cobbler for him. I had a camping trip, and that's how I got my contracts. So, I mean, it's one of those relationship things that you have to really be embedded with to get your own contracts. The 2T is all fine and nice, but instead of writing how should I say, a dissertation, which really the court's not interested in a contract. It's a dissertation. There's just 2 pages that they need, and that's basically the offer part of the contract and the addendum part of the contract. But it's important to get that. But if you're a realtor, and this is something that I told the North Carolina realtors, they really need to pare down that contract for probate sales.
Oh yeah. Yep. Now, and that's never going to happen knowing North Carolina, but but
yeah.
So Medicaid, Medicare, if there's outstanding debts or liens there, the times I've had to use it have been guardianship and elder care. So guardianship and elder care almost always trip into the upset bid period as well. And in your case, one was disputed. They were all handled by a public administrator. So anytime a public administrator is handling the process, it's pretty much always going to go through an upset bid period. Joe, this is different names, but it's kind of the similar type of process to what you're going to run into in California with limited authority. There's several of you on this call that will probably run into the same thing in different states when you have particular kinds of debt or guardianship, minors that are heirs or elders that are heirs deemed to where they can't make their own decisions. The court wants to be involved. So this isn't only a North Carolina thing, but we're talking some North Carolina contract terms here.
And they also do it if there's a minor who's a beneficiary or an heir.
Correct. Yep. All right. Perfect. Lakisha, thank you so much. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks. You guys have heard several different people chime in today that have talked about buying properties. I'm curious how many of you on this call are investors. Do me a favor and click the react button. Don't raise your hand if you're an investor because I'm trying to call on people that raise their hand. So if you're an investor only, give me a thumbs up. If you are a realtor only, give me a heart. So go down to the react button, click that react, give me a heart if you're a realtor only, thumbs up if you're an investor only, and give me a ta-da party trick if you do both. All right, I'm curious what we've got here. If you guys are not doing both, I encourage you to start doing both. You're limiting your business upside by not doing both. David Pannell, you do both. David Cordero, where did Cordero go? He just mentioned doing both. I know David does a lot of listings, Cordero, but David Pannell, you're what, 80/20 on the buy side, right? You buy a
This year is about 50-50, but typically, yeah. And
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable with it either. It took me. I accidentally did a couple of probates early in my career, didn't understand them. Started buying data in 2017, and still after that, it took me 2 years of trying to help people remodel their houses and get the listing, because that's what I was taught. Get the listing, always get the listing, and or do it for if they were struggling. Do anything to get the listing. That's what I was taught. So it took until 2019. I was like, none of these people want a realtor. They really don't. I was losing half the deals trying to be just their realtor. So if you're only having that conversation to be their realtor, you're probably missing out. Unless the people in California, I get that. There's so much
Um,
competition there.
so here I'm not contradict that, David. I'm going to expand on that.
Yeah.
We need to understand what our consumer wants. We need to understand at the end of the day, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to accomplish a relationship with a realtor? No, they are not trying to accomplish a relationship with a realtor. They are trying to accomplish a sale and reasonable value for their property. That's what 90% of them want to accomplish. Now, maybe it's through programming, maybe it's because it's the truth with you, but they, in a lot of cases, believe that a cash investor is going to get them exactly what they need. In some cases, they believe that a listing and a listing agent are going to get them what they need. But the investor and the agent, we're only a conduit to get to what they need, what they want. And they don't want to list. Some of them go, hey, if I want that fair price, closing, sale, maybe I have to go through a listing agent. But sometimes they don't think that. So when you show up to someone that's in the middle of probate and they go, yes, I'm going to sell a house, and you go, hey, could I show you my listing plan? You're leading with the thing that they don't want. Okay. Maybe that's what it's going to take to get them the most money, but I always lead when I find out that they're going to sell. I lead with what I know they want. Do you think if you sell that I can bring you an offer? Now, I'm a real estate agent, broker first, realtor first. 80% of my business is realtor business. Actually, 80% of my business is probate education and training. But if I'm in real estate, it's going to be realtor first. Even being a realtor first, I don't say, hey, could I interview for the job of being your listing agent? Could I show you my listing plan? Because all that's just friction in between where they are and where they want to be. Where they are now, we're in the middle of probate, house isn't on the market. Where we want to be is we want to get to a sale. So I don't talk to them about the friction. I talk to them about the fact that I want to bring them an offer. That gets
Bruce,
me an appointment every time.
and on that topic too, there's so many people calling them that if you have a product that everybody wants, if everybody's calling you about it and they want it, they don't know if they don't know realtors are calling, investors are calling. They just know people are interested in the property. So you're going in trying to get them to list with you, but they have 10 other calls from people that just want to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that is the true issue here is like, even if you're selling a vehicle, if you're selling a pencil, you're selling a piece of artwork, whatever you're selling, even when you're selling a listing, you have multiple offers. Which one do you go with as a realtor? You go with the
Yeah.
one that's probably me. I typically look at all the offers. I do an Excel sheet, but it's always the nicest realtor I like to inch the seller to, or the cleanest offer. I always want to make it easy for my seller so that I don't cause the faster I could get a house under contract and accepted and to closing, I get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So just you got to have that perspective too. Is that they probably have 50 letters in front of them. They got people texting them. They got people calling them, and it's just they have interest in the property, so they have no interest in listing it at first.
Yeah, they just want to get done with the process and get the money in their bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes they want 100% of market value in their bank account, and sometimes they want 70% of market value in their bank account. I can promise you they just want the money in their bank account and to stop cutting the grass every week.
Yes.
That's what they want. Money in the bank, stop cutting the grass every week. So you are there to facilitate that. And if you lead with, can I bring you an offer? Then you can talk to them about, once you have a face to face, then you can start talking about the ways that you can do that. Hey, we could list the house. This is what it would look like. This is your estimated time frame. I could buy
Perfect.
the house. This is what it would look like. This is your estimated time frame. We could do novation. We could do owner financing. We could, it's basically, let's go through all those real quick. If I'm listing the house, here's the expected net that I think you're going to get, and this is how long I think it's going to take to get it. If we list the house, but we are trying to get it faster, this is the net. It's going to be what, 5-10% lower, but you're looking at this time frame to closing. I could buy the house. You could skip the market altogether. This is your net. This is your time to closing. I could own or finance the house. This is your net. Normally that net looks a lot bigger than any of the other options, and this is the time frame to get you to closing. Um, we've got novations. We have joint ventures if you want to fix it up, like David mentioned, he's kind of gotten away from, but you could always joint venture with them and fix the house up on your dime and maybe get a share of the increase that you bring. There's a couple of people that do that a lot. I don't do it so much anymore. You could wholesale. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I encourage you guys show them the different options and maybe not show them 10 options because then you're going to overwhelm people, but go in, get to know them, get to know what their goals are, build some rapport. And then when you get to the point of making a decision on the house, say option one, option two, option three, which one are you more interested in? Okay. And get good at presenting that. Get good. If that takes you 2 hours to present those three options, you're not good at presenting it. Get it down to where you can present those three options in 10 minutes
Yep.
and let them choose. And from there, rest of it's just paperwork. You're just moving to closing. All right, take a look at chat. Lou, do we have anything?
That's probably the most important part of any of this probate stuff. That last 10 minutes of this video. If your guy makes a short of that, that's exactly where we're at. You got to meet the people where they're at. If we're trying to push off our real estate, or if you're not building rapport and you're an investor and you walk in with your shorts and sandals and you just walk through the property and complain about it, you're not going to get anywhere with them.
How do you show up, David?
I show casual, professional, and I don't have anything in my hands. I hand them. I do have the comps, so if depending on the qualifying the call and what kind of appointment's going to be, if I know ahead of time, I bring them the comps so they know that I'm being honest with them, and a kind of repair list of things that I've paid for in the past. So if that comes up, I could say, yeah, well, the last house I did was $8,500 for the bathroom, and they think it's $500. So I'm not trying to prove them wrong, but if we have that conversation, I'm kind of ready for that. I don't win every appointment at all. I don't win them. I do get majority of them, or get callbacks. One lady that I just won the listing on, she inherited her brother's house, and she was talking to 7 realtors, and I'm no better than any of them. She said I have the gift of gap, so that's why she went with me. So that's, hey, whatever, it's perfect.
Does anyone disagree with her assessment?
It's just we got to meet them where they're at, and that's kind of what Bruce and I are talking about making my letter stuff into a course for everybody. I, Bruce wants us, he's talking about selling my letters, but if you don't understand the background behind a letter, um, it's anybody can write a letter to somebody, but is it going to be converting? How many sales books do you actually need to listen to understand their perspective or the arc of the conversation that they're going through? ChatGPT is perfect for it, but it's that self. I love the word. My word of the week is self-persuasion. How can we get in front of them and let them discover? How can you let them discover their need, either on the appointment or in the letter? And that's kind of what I'm building.
I like that. I recently, this is a name that a lot of us are going to know, and I don't know. I'll tell you what my opinion has been of this person in a second. But over the last couple of years, I've seen probably 13.5 million short video ads from Jeremy Minor,
Yeah.
the sales guy. And for the most part, I ignore. Most of his video, most of his ads are centered around a role play. A lot of them are centered around a role play or him demonstrating what a lot of salespeople do and what good salespeople do. And it's usually pretty short. And then he says, hey, if you want to learn more, I've got this free thing or this cheap thing here. And I've watched those things for 2+ years. I say 2+ years, probably 5+ years. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time. And I finally saw something a couple of weeks ago that was enticing, and it was a $27 book. And I wish I had it on my desk. It's 100 pages long and a little spiral binder. And I paid $27 for it, and it shows up on my door. And then I start getting calls, and I recognized that they were from Jeremy's team, and I knew that that was going to happen. And finally, and I'm brutal on salespeople sometimes, brutal on them. And finally, I answered the phone one day. I'd seen this number a bunch of times because the same number kept showing up on my caller ID. Remember that same number, and I was like, "This must be important." So I answered, and it's one of Jeremy's guys. And I'll tell you, he disarmed me so fast. And then our conversation over the next 10 minutes was him walking me through a self-discovery process where I said, hey, you know what? I do need to be better at selling. And everybody else, I would say, no, I don't want what you're doing. And it got to the point where I asked for a second level discovery call, not because I wanted one to begin with, but because he was good at allowing me to self discover what I wanted. That's art. That's art. That's science too. It's art and science together. It was brilliant. Where I asked for the discovery call. Now I haven't had it yet. I'll let you guys know how it goes. You are probably going to see someone with their wallet lighten significantly in the next couple of weeks. But I'll let you guys know how that went. Um, but that's what David just hit on is gold. We are helping them self-discover what they want. And then as long as you have the know-how to be able to give them what they discover they want and what they tell you what they want, you'll get the deal. You'll get the business.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just getting out of your own way too. It's everybody wants, if you're a realtor, you want the listing, and then you're not thinking about making an offer yourself, which ideally, I was against doing assignments in the beginning. I would offer people up to $5,000 to $10,000 to fix up their house because I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want to be that guy. But it's just an easier path to get them to what they are going to do anyways. You're going to leave the listing appointment, and then a week later you'll follow up and they say they sold the house.
NC just chatted in. She said, what's the name of the book? It's the NEPQ.
Yeah.
N for Nancy or neuro, E emotional, P persuasion, Q. I don't know what Q stands for. Um, NEPQ Black Book. And I haven't even read through the whole thing. I don't I can't vouch for how good it is. I just know that it looks really good. It's worth $27 to me to see what he had. And then I quickly started getting closed rather quickly. Um, Good, thanks, Ron. Hey, Rigo, what's going on? You're on mute. See if you can come off mute, Rigo. All right, if you
Okay, yeah, I
there we
can.
go. We got you.
Hey, what's up, guy?
Hey.
Yeah, I like Jeremy Minor a lot. And I specialize in foreclosures for North Carolina, and I have the probate mastery. I think I was on a couple weeks ago, so I'm gearing up for that. And I've learned a heck of a lot on this call alone, especially from that gentleman, Matthew Price. And yourself, of course, right? But Jeremy
Matthew's pretty
Minor,
cool.
yeah, Jeremy Minor, what I love about him is what he taught me is because I talk kind of fast, right? And kind of like the slow draw, the pause,
We'll see
right?
how when I have a 4 o'clock meeting.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
4 o'clock. Yeah, and that has changed my business. My business partner's got like 30 years experience. He's a broker, right, up in Raleigh. So I'm a tech. So he saw me, most of these sales guys see me as some tech guy, but I'm more than that. I'm an entrepreneur. So I kind of got really good. And now all of a sudden, he hated to say, "Man, you really know how to get these appointments." I'm like, "It's the slow draw, my man. That's what works." And
It is.
that it's a slow draw.
And
It
and
just
I would argue,
like,
especially in North Carolina, but it works in New Jersey and New York too.
yeah. And
Yep.
I for all you veterans on this call, I milk my veteran status. I mean, I come from a family of veterans dating to World War One, basically, right? And I use it to my advantage. I use it on my website, and they give me just that little second, right, that I really need, just so little tidbit info. Use it. You earned it. It'll make you some money. All right.
David uses his veteran status on his letters. David, what do you say on your letters to use your veteran status?
I just thank them in advance for supporting veteran-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
assume it's going to happen, so I just put at the bottom, P.S. Thank you for supporting veteran-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So David has a series of little images and logos at the bottom of his letter. One says certified probate expert. One says former U.S. Marine. Another one says like all round nice guy,
Yeah.
something like that. So I think it gets a lot of. How often have people said, "Hey, I called you because you were a Marine"? I
Every
don't
time.
know the answer. I'm not trying to set you up
Yeah.
for something.
No, every time. That's why I'm glad I put it on there. I never used it before, up until about year and a half, 2 years ago. Never wanted to put that on any letter. I don't.
Mhm.
When you're a Marine, you don't use that. It's really hard to. Between buddies and military, it's fine, but you never want to. I don't know. It's just something in the culture of the Marines.
Hmm.
So just to stick that on the letter, I just knew it was time to get that little advantage if they're gonna call somebody.
I,
So
a little bit of another tidbit that I use. My name they can't get right. I'm originally from California, so but I use the phonetic alphabet and I follow it up with G. I was 17 when I joined, and they got me really good. They brutalized me. That's the way I'll talk. They get a little laugh, and it just buys me that extra second that I need. So
yep,
for all you vets, my name's Rigo. It's Romeo India Golf Oscar, and I repeat it.
yeah,
Yeah, and it works. Oh man, it works. And it wasn't my idea. Actually it was a Marine dude, right? Which I don't know anything about the Marines, but um, he's the guy who said, "Man, use the phonetic alphabet," and
Yep.
it works. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. I've learned a heck of a lot on this call.
Thank you so much for chiming in. I really like that. There's a lot of people on this call or listening to this call that have unique names, and a lot of times you lean away from the unique name. I was on a private coaching call with someone. I won't say his name. He's probably listening, and he said that he was going by Kyle. And I was like, why would you go by Kyle? Not that there's any problem with any of you Kyles listening to this, but why would you go with Kyle when you have this incredibly unique name? I mean, I don't have a unique name. I'd lean on it. Lean on the unique names. I had an ISA one time who his name was Kit, and he would call and call himself Alex. And I was like, no, lean on it. Lean on it. Your name's Kit. And if they go, who? You go, Kit, like Kit Kat. And all of a sudden, his conversations just doubled in time. Kit, who? Kit, kind of like Kit Kat. Hey, do you have a quick second for me to tell you what I was calling for?
There you go.
Really extends the call. We've got Reen on here. Reen's I don't know, Reen, if you've been calling or not, but Reenie always says Reen sounds like green. So leverage your unique names. Find a way. I am envious of those of you with a unique name.
And
Reen
Bruce,
just went off mute. What's happening?
I was exactly the guy who never wanted to lean into it, and then someone in my coaching program's like, "What's your real name?" And I'm like, "Green," and he's like, "What?" And I kept telling him, he's like, so finally I said, "Sounds like green." He goes, "You got to use that," and I've been using it ever since, and it works.
That's cool.
It
I
works.
must be the oddball because I say it's Matthew sounds like sold.
Hey, there you go.
That's good too.
Especially on the auction block. All right, so we are up against the top of the hour, guys. Another great call in the books. Really appreciate you guys being here. If anyone's here and you are not a certified probate expert and you want to check out our certification course, there's more than 40 hours of on-demand training in there. You get certified probate expert. It's good for agents, investors. It's known nationwide. So just jump over to probatemastery.com and check that out if you're interested in getting trained and making this a big niche for you. Thank you guys so much. We will see everybody next week.